Hello and welcome everyone to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio out of New York. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is Loving Longevity. Longevity can mean so many things depending on which aspect of our life we are looking at. This is a great show, and I'm really privileged to share the stage with my co-host. Her name is Annie Bush. Let's bring her out and hear what's going on with her. Hi, Annie.
Hi there. Oh, thank you so much. It's my honor to share this with you too.
Well, I'm so happy that we connected, and it wasn't that long ago. It was an interview that we had, and I was so impressed with what the work that you're doing and these wonderful light patches that you have. I know you're going to talk a little bit more about that. And we've got a wonderful guest backstage. So before we bring Dr. Patricia Rogers out, and I'm going to spotlight you, and can you share a little bit about the work that you're doing in the longevity area and why this program is so important to you?
Well, this has been a very exciting week. Last Saturday, I had the honor and privilege to attend a training seminar with David Schmidt, who is the owner, creator, inventor of the LifeWave stem cell activation patch. And why this is important. Longevity, to me, really it is about looking younger, but it's also about feeling younger, which means being healthier. But then let's take this next one step further and actually being younger and being healthier. And that's where an integral part of the longevity strategy is using these stem cell activation patches. Now, for those of you that are like, what are stem cells? They are like baby cells in your body that haven't decided what they're going to be yet. So every cell in your body at one point was a stem cell, and then it decided what it was going to be. The issue is, as we get older, the number of stem cells we have decreases. So it takes longer for us to recover from injury and illness and disease, and that's where these patches come in. Now, how do they work? Just like as the sun hits your skin and your skin creates vitamin D, what is in these patches are crystals that reflect light back into your body. Your body emits body heat. The patches emit a light back into your body, and that light stimulates your stem cells. So there's no nasty injections, needles, controversial sources of where those stem cells come from. They're your very own stem cells. So we're basically resetting your own age. And what David said last week was that for every 6 months that you wear one of these stem cell activation patches, you could set back your chronological age 8 years.
Wow, that's huge.
That's huge. That's how these stem cell patches reset your stem cells to a younger age.
I'm so glad that you're here to share this, and people can reach out to you and connect how, Annie?
You can get the patches at lifewave.com/yourtotalbody. But the easiest way to get in touch with me is just call me, text me, 941-468-7091.
Thank you very much. We will be putting that into the comments. So Annie, we have a wonderful person joining us from the state of Georgia. Her name is Dr. Patricia Rogers. We actually connected on social media, which, by the way, folks, social media really does work. It's a great way to build your network. And for people who are not using it, I don't understand that. But Dr. Patricia Rogers, she is CEO, International Public Speaker at Unity in Service. She is a visibility strategist, and this is going to tie into the longevity piece. I'm excited to have her here. She's also an international best-selling author, international public speaker, and an online event host. She's a business consultant, a marketer, and a promoter. So let's bring her out. Welcome to the program, Dr. Patricia Rogers. How are you?
Woo! I'm good.
It's so nice to have you here. I have to say, you're the first visibility strategist that we've had on our program. So among all these other things that you have accomplished, what is a visibility strategist?
A visibility strategist Wow, I'm glad you asked that question. I developed that name, Visibility Strategist, after the pandemic shift sent all of us in another direction. And what happened there was that I had to transition to online events because I used to host conferences that were live and in person, and I would do them once a year. And when COVID came, I ended up canceling the event that we had scheduled for 2020, and I had to return over 14,000 some odd dollars back in profit. And that was just for the attendee, that was just for the participant. So I had to figure out, where am I going from here? And I started pulling out my gifts, my talents, which was I use my cell phone as a branding tool. And I love creating videos, as you know, and content. And I developed training that would show individuals how to use their smartphones as a branding tool. And I sold over 100 and some odd tickets. And we had a wonderful time. And then I started teaching other things like StreamYard, Zoom, anything that has to do with technology. I worked for corporate America for 29 years. So I came in fully loaded in a sense. And so having said that, what I did was, one of the ladies in the group, one of my colleagues, she sent me a text after a couple of events she attended. And she said, you need to change from business development strategist to visibility strategist, because you're showing us how to show up and make an impact when we show up on social media.
Wow,
that's how it came about.
I love it. I love that story. That's fantastic. And you know, Annie, on this program, we talk a lot about longevity in terms of our health and our lives and how we can care for ourselves. And doctor, you also know that there's been this great resignation in the corporate world. I also came from the corporate world. But when it comes to longevity in business, this is something we really need to be paying more attention to, because if people are leaving the workforce and starting their own business, and we all know that having your own business is not necessarily what they teach us in school, right?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And you're definitely on point with the wellness. This is the trend now for us to really focus on taking care of ourselves. And I love that. When I saw longevity, I'm like, oh God, that's a great topic. And so I just kind of added mine in. Let's talk about longevity in business. And why is that important to me is because you are your business. So that means that if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to increase our lifespan. And of course, when we increase our lifespan, then that gives us more time to be of service to other people as we progress in our business ventures. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. So if we're starting a business, or maybe we're already an established business owner, how does the whole concept of longevity improve an entrepreneurial business? How does that journey look when we consider longevity from the very beginning?
Well, the way that journey looks, or where I can talk about how it was for me, is, first of all, training is essential. Training is essential. So that means after coming out of corporate America, 29 years in law enforcement, no clue as to what it was to be an entrepreneur, the first thing we have to do is make the right connection. And that means that we have to go follow those people who have what we want and take action first, also by getting up, suiting up, and showing up at events. At that time, we was live. At events, now we're virtual. We still have to attend events because people need people, and people are our best resources, and they are the ones that are going to invest in our products and services, be available for us to partner with, team up with. Those other people are going to be the ones that we're going to hire, hire to get the job done that we need, that we cannot do ourselves or don't have time to do. So definitely we have to start with training and following those who have what we want. And then, of course, goes right back to what we said earlier, self-care. Self-care. That means if we're not physically fit, mentally fit, meaning we have to know where we're going, we have to have a roadmap, know how we're going, we have to know exactly what we want. And then, of course, with that, take care of ourselves. And I'm going to say this, because people from my own experience, love leaders who show up with energy. Positive energy attracts life. Does that make sense?
It sure does, yes. And I want to spend a little time on the self-care, and I'm going to bring Annie in on this. But Doctor, I'd like to go back to you for a second. So you left the corporate world, and I did too during the pandemic. And there's plenty of people out there that are like, I got to get out of here, right? Or they've left and they're kind of like, I don't know what to do. So can you just share with our audience, you took the steps, you did the work, you showed up, but it wasn't always easy, I'm sure. I'm sure there were challenges. What do people have to know in order to make that leap and to plan ahead or have an idea of where it is they want to go?
Okay, planning ahead is very essential. I'm glad you said that, because if you don't plan, you know what they say, if you don't plan, we plan to fail, or whatever, however that slogan goes, we all know it. And it's so true. So we have to have a plan of action. And once you have a plan of action, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. But my first rule of thumb, I'm going to go back to my first rule of thumb is, after having come into this entrepreneur arena and having worked in corporate America, I did plan before I left corporate America. So if you're still working for corporate America and you know you have a burning desire inside of you that you want to be of service to other people, monetize your gifts, because we all have them. Napoleon Hill says it best, one sound idea is all one needs to achieve success. So if you know you have a burning desire and you know that you're not doing what you feel you was called to do, the first thing you do is prepare. That means go out, see what the people are doing, the entrepreneurs are doing, talk to people, do your research online, because if you don't do that, I'm going to strongly say, do not walk off your day job before you do your research, because the word entrepreneur is just a word. Entrepreneur comes into being when we actually have services to market for whatever it is that we do, so that we can serve others. And I see it too often. People, well, I'm quitting my job. Okay, just make sure, that's okay. Just make sure that you have money set aside, because I always said to myself, I needed that money in corporate America to build this business over here, because it does take money.
Amen to that. That is so true. And yes, I also planned for 9 months with a coach before I left. And I had plan A, B, and C, and I got to plan B minus. But Annie, I want to go over to you and then bring Dr. Rogers in. What about the whole idea of self-care and physically, mentally preparing ourselves to make a leap like this?
The aspect that I want to focus on is, Dr. Rogers, you mentioned training. For women that say this is their second or third or maybe fourth career leap that they're making, if they're sitting there saying, I'm too old to learn anything new, how would you advise them to give them the confidence that they're not too old to keep using those brain cells up there? Because if we don't use it, we lose it.
Okay. If they think that they are too old, and I'm going to say it this way. What I'm hearing you ask is, mention or ask me, is changing their mindset from where they are, and also walking in the process of the fear that goes with learning new things. You know, and we all know that's so common in this arena, whether they're leaving the entrepreneur world or not. Just anytime we take a new leap for anything in life, there's those feelings of fear, uncertainty, inadequacy, I'm not good enough, because I don't want to fail, and then there's always that feeling of, guess what? What if I succeed? That means I got to do more work. That's my problem. That was my struggle. I know, I knew that if I want the 6 figures, and that's what everybody talk about, the 6 figures. If I want the 6 figures, I got to do 6-figure work. But as far as those women or men who are thinking, well, it's too late for me, it is never too late for you. And at the end of the day, if you don't do it, nobody else will. So that means that you're going to leave here with your vision, your purpose, your destiny, all of those good things that you was created to do in the first place. Once you discover what they are, you're going to take them with you. And we all have heard it said very well that the most expensive things are in the graveyard. Books, authors, singers, all of that stuff, because they did not do it. And that's why I am energetic. That's why I do show up on social media. That's why I do inspire and impress upon people and stretch them and push them in our coaching, as well as and when I speak, because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And that's what I tell myself when I'm self-talking to me. Because if I don't do it and I don't feel like doing it that day, I tell myself immediately, if I don't do it, nobody else will. And I get up and do it. So we have to change our mindset. And what I say to those individuals, some people, when they get to know me enough, I can say that. I tell them, get over it. Get over it. If you want a good life of fulfillment, get over it. Follow those who have what you want. Be willing to invest in yourself. And you have to put the time in to learn not only hear what they're saying to do, you have to actually go through the process and do it. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
I think that's a song. Nothing for nothing. Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta have something if you want to be. You're right.
Dr. Rogers, a question I have for you as an entrepreneur, I'm 2 years into this, 1 year into one business and 2 years into another, is how do we take care of ourselves and balance that with doing everything that needs to be done? Because we're wearing all kinds of hats. We're basically doing everything ourselves until we can get to the point where we outsource it, and then it's sort of like, wait, it's my baby, I don't want to let go of it. So how do we balance all that?
Well, the way I balance is and that's part of the training also. I'm a member of the Women's Prosperity Network. I've been a member of I'm with Bill Walsh International Power Team. I am a rainmaker. I have been to trainings with Sharon Lecter, entrepreneurs, dedicated entrepreneurs. So I have gone out and I have connected with some of the most fabulous leaders. And these things that I'm telling you, I heard it from them. So first thing, you have to prioritize. You have to write it down. You got to get a piece of paper. You got to write it down. We can think things all day long, but it does not come into fruition until we actually put it on paper. And I always say, if I write it down now, I can break it down. So you have to have a plan, and you have to put it on paper, and then you prioritize what is most essential first. And there's only 24 hours in a day. So if you don't get to everything, because there's going to be distractions in between, different things, doctor's appointments, whatever comes up. People coming to the door unexpectedly, going to get your nails done, which is part of self-care, So the bottom line is you have to prioritize. And with that comes calendar blocking. So that means if you don't know how to work your calendar, guess what? I learned that in Women's Prosperity Network, in group coaching. So that means that you have to find those people who, again, have what you want. And that's how I'm able to stay afloat in all the midst of all of the rhetoric and everything that's going on around me. And when I don't accomplish what I wanted to that night, by the end of the night, I'm like, I forgot to do this. Maybe something may pop up and I didn't put it on the paper. But guess what? I don't beat myself up, because if it was that important, it would have been on the paper. So that goes on tomorrow. It's only 24 hours in a day. So prioritize and get those most important things done first. And I'm going to tell you something about this. A lot of times people go to people saying they want their confidence to be increased. I want to build my confidence. This is just my theory and my theory alone. Nobody can tell me or build my confidence. For me, what builds my confidence is when I do the work that I have been trained to do. So if your coach is telling you to do something, my confidence flies score high when I have tried what they were told me to do. It worked, and I'm good to go. And now guess what? I can teach someone else how to do it. And that raises my value as a coach, because now I can implement that also into one of my coaching packages. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I can see why you are so in demand.
And I have a question. When women get into, our ages, 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're finally pursuing what their passion is, they're finally pursuing what their desires are. And then they have to start working it like a business. It's not a hobby, it's a business. So there's a transition there again in the mindset, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a business, and that's what if that's what the goal is, then like I said, all we do, we find what it is that we enjoy the most. What is it that people are telling you do so well? And that was with videos. People was telling me, oh girl, always told me, I love your videos. They know I love the camera. And that when I had to transition online, I had no clue how to host the training online, first of all. Secondly, how in the world am I going to teach people how to work their cell phone? And I did it. I have an iPhone. And guess what? I didn't think about the fact that other people had Androids. But this is my point. Stay with me. This is my point. I followed my vision. I followed the vision that God gave me in my head to do that first training as a video trainer. I got on that platform. I had only practiced for the iPhone. But this is why the spiritual aspect of our well-being is so essential. Because God is in control of everything. He gives us a vision, but he's also giving us the provision if we listen and just follow through. When I got on that platform to do that event, some people started saying, and I had about over 80 some people on that platform that showed up. People started saying, well, I don't have an iPhone. How you do it on the Android? It's putting all that stuff in the chat. Thankfully, I prepared. I had a young lady with me, a colleague. She was managing the chat. I had a chat monitor. I had other people, so I knew I couldn't do it all. But in that chat, when that question went to that chat, I'm going to show you how good the universe, God, all the above, whatever you want to label your higher power, how it works and comes into play for you. When that information went in the chat, guess who had an Android? My chat monitor. It never came up. So my point on that, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Stop being afraid to take the leap. Because it's already predestined. When you feel those butterflies and feelings of fear, that's telling you right there, hey, this thing finna work. All I got to do is get through these butterflies. And how am I going to get through these butterflies? I have to do it. I have to plan it, follow through on it, whatever steps it takes to make an event. I'm going to use an event, for instance. I have to plan it, pick out the date, the time, how I want it, what the name of it's going to be. I have to put it all on paper, decide how many people do I want to come, who's my target market, and then I have to call my graphic designer. I need a promotion done for this, what do you think, and then, of course, I have to go fill those seats with the participants. So my point is this, none of that stuff is done, but I have to act as if it's already done, and it is. That's my story, I'm sticking to it.
I absolutely love it. Right next to me, I have, I don't even, maybe 10 of these with the marker. I write everything down, like what you were saying, check it all off. It gives you that confidence. This is a great interview. We are going to take a short break and hear from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with Annie and Dr. Patricia Rogers on loving longevity. So stay with us. We're going to watch the Earthshot Prize. And thank you to Ian Pelham-Turner and Helena Shard in the UK for sharing this with us.
Awesome.